Coming up, our one-on-one interview with former Apple CEO Gill Amelio. And we'll take you for a ride on the Starship Titanic. Brought to you by Fry's Electronics. Your best buys are always at Fry's. Guaranteed.
In the light of the 21st century, get ready for the future. Power up with guaranteed low prices in every department at Fry's Electronics. Watch DVD movies on your Mac. Cool DVD by E4, only $549. 6.4 gigabyte Ultra DMA hard drive, $204. Get this 19-inch color TV with remote, only $147. Remember, your best buys are always at Fry's. Guaranteed.
Some technologies are destined to change the world we live in. Some technologies are destined to change the way we live our lives. Chip-scale packaging is about to make the next profound impact on our lives by reducing the size of our electronics to the size of the chip itself. Don't miss the latest equipment and technologies for chip-scale electronics at the Chip-Scale International Exhibition and Trade Show, May 6th and 7th at the Santa Clara Convention Center. Admission to all exhibits is free.
Last year was a record setter, and this year will be the same. Los Gatos Honda has the new 98 Hondas at the same or even lower price than last year. Like the brand new, bigger and better, more beautiful 98 Accord LX at a fantastic $17,588. There's a big selection. The new 98 Accord LX, automatic, loaded with features, only $17,588. Like Matt says,
why shop anywhere else?
16213 Los Gatos Boulevard.
Media On presents the Superfast Agenda Business Pro 400 megahertz system for just $25.55 with 128 megabytes of SRAM, 8.4 gigabyte hard drive, Matrox 8 meg HED graphics card, actual 3D sound with 200 watt speakers, 32 times CD-ROM, US Robotics 56K fax, iOmega zip drive, 17-inch monitor, Windows 95, and much more. And it's just $25.55. 350 megahertz for just $23.55. The Agenda Business Pro features the Intel Pentium 2 processor.
On Monday, February 5th, 1996, Gill Amelio started his job as CEO of Apple Computer. And on the 4th of July weekend in 1997, he was fired. And his 500 days at Apple are vividly and eloquently chronicled in his new book, On the Firing Line. Dr. Gill Amelio is our guest on today's roundtable. First of all, welcome to you. Good
Thanks,
to see
Fred.
you. You bet. Why, knowing that this place was a mess, Apple, that you allege it was a mess, why did you take the job in the first place?
Well, as I say in the book, it's romance. I fell in love with Apple when the Apple II came out and the Macintoshes came along, and I decided that for years and years I figured I must have known a better way to run Apple, because I would say to my friends, if I ran that company, I'd do such and such. And one day someone asked me, would you like to run this company? And it's such a great American icon, I couldn't turn it down.
However, in the book you also say this, Apple has great people, but it also has a dysfunctional culture. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, Jim Champy said he called it a case of arrested development, or an adolescent character to the company. I call it contrarian. And what the character of it is that whatever the CEO says is viewed as a suggestion. Maybe, in fact, you should do exactly the opposite. And this goes back to the early days of Apple, when the way they created the Macintosh was with a very contrarian kind of team. And everyone thought the way to get ahead is to behave that way, and so that became part of the culture. It was okay in the early days. It was a problem when you're trying to fix a broken company.
But you'd been sitting on the board, and didn't you know this in advance?
Sure I did.
Huh? Yeah.
Sure I did. But someone had to go in and try to fix this company.
You called the 500 days at Apple neither a comedy nor a tragedy. You just alluded to it again. You called it a romance.
That's right.
Now, come on. What is romantic about Apple and running this company?
Well, it's a company that has a totally unique character. It's what I call an American icon company, and icon companies like Disney, or perhaps Coca-Cola are larger than life. And you have a different relationship with companies like that. You have an emotional attachment to them.
In spite of all the problems, in spite of the fact that you couldn't seem to inspire anybody to go back and do some research and give you a report, they would come back with nothing. In spite of all that, it was still romantic to you?
Well, I mean, there were tough times, but yeah, but it was something you do for love, not for any other reason.
One thing that, having read the book, the whole book, by the way, fascinating, and it almost reads like a novel, to be quite frank. I think that's probably Bill Simon's contributions, right? But in any event, there were a wide range of values that you encountered, and that was dominant in the book to me. Can you describe what those values were that you encountered at Apple?
Well, you know, we had different kinds of responses from people. So there was, am I gonna follow the boss's instructions? What about my dress code? So, for example, one of the values was you could dress any way you want. So the way I responded to that was I came in and dressed in a coat and tie, and people asked me, why are you wearing a coat and tie? Because this is Apple, you don't have to do that here. And I said, to remind you that this is a serious business, that we're in trouble, we need to get fixed, and every time you see me walking around on the campus with a coat and tie, I want you to say to yourself, we're in trouble, we got to behave differently, and we've got to change and make things happen. That's the kind of value system that I was trying to alter.
Finally, Steve Jobs. In the book, he came across very charming at many times in the book. Is he the guy who really put it to you? Is he the one who got you fired?
I was really disappointed in the way Steve sort of returned my friendship on this thing, and there's I don't think there's much doubt in my mind that he certainly had a lot to do with it. But you know, this book isn't really about Steve Jobs, although he's a key character in the book. This book is about a very personal journey that I took, and I wanted to do something a little different than most CEOs do. Most CEOs' books talk about their successes. I wanted to talk about something that didn't work out as well. I wanted to put the reader in my head and walk through those 500 days with me and see what it must have felt like to be the CEO of Apple, and I think I accomplished that.
You did. It's a good read. On the firing line, My 500 Days at Apple, Dr. Gill, Amelio. Thank you.
Right.
Back with more right after this.
Customer service standpoint.
Still
a very important part of computing.
DataQuest says about 2 million handheld devices shipped worldwide last year. Now that number is expected to quadruple in the next 3 years. It's not the rapid growth seen with desktop computing, but it is a solid pattern of growth that many Silicon Valley companies are going to be able to capitalize over the next few years.
You know, we know that the Palm Pilot wasn't the first, but it's certainly been the most successful of all the PDAs.
Definitely.
And certainly the catalyst. How is it going to be able to keep its market share, or is it?
3Com, or Palm Computing, says that it's licensing its technology to other companies like IBM, which is selling it as the WorkPad now. And it says it's going to come out with some new features and lower prices starting this year.
Smart move by them, indeed. Good report. Thank you, Robin. We'll be back with more right after this.
Still ahead, Sun's outspoken CEO Scott McNealy on encryption, Java, and a bunch of other stuff. And Dell's surprise, HP's disappointment, and high-tech's week on Wall Street. No other computer in the country offers performance and value at the best price like Media On, the computer experts. The Expert 2 comes